Hello, Tammy Moran. Tammy's the first name that I saw. Hi, Tammy, and Jeremy, and Steve, and Mike, and Mark, and everybody else. And thank you to my friends at Parks. Whether your team scores or not, there's always another way to win on the BetParks online casino and sportsbook app and the Play Gun Lake app, the only apps that I ever use and recommend to bet on sports and to play all my favorite casino games for real money right in the palm of my hand. You can do likewise. Hundreds of casino games at your fingertips, live dealers and blackjack and roulette and poker and more. Plus, play hot online slots based on the movies Rocky, Ted, Goonies. Your favorite hot online slots, Cash Eruption, 88 Fortunes, Cleopatra. You can play slots that are based on your favorite streaming shows. I got to say, I'm enjoying Paradise. And thank you to whomever it was when we did a segment last week and we all just kind of swapped our favorite TV show ideas. Paradise for me is a winner. I'm about 3 episodes in. Breaking Bad, Peaky Blinders have inspired hot online slots with our friends at Parks Casino. And new users get up to $1,000 casino bonus if you're down in the first 24 hours. Go to betparks.com in PA or NJ. Visit playgunlake.com if you're in Michigan. Download the app right now and enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. You know what I'm going to say. You've got to be 21 and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey for Bet Parks, that app. 21 and in Michigan for the Play Gun Lake app. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Yesterday, we had 28,877 votes cast at Smerconish.com on what was the Tuesday poll question. Which side benefits politically from the El Salvador deportation controversy? Is it Donald Trump, President Trump, or is it his opponents? Nearly 2/3 of us, because I was in the majority on this. Who benefits politically? It's Donald Trump. Ellie Honig was a great guest yesterday on the program. You can watch that interview, as a matter of fact, on my YouTube channel. Ellie, of course, is the CNN senior legal analyst. We still don't know the full accounting from DOJ about the deportation of those 200 plus gang members, presumed gang members. I think it's pretty clear that the Trump administration, the DOJ in this instance, violated a court order, the order of a district court judge named Boasberg. Makes no difference at what level of the federal judiciary he might be, nor whether it was oral or written. The point is, there was an order from the judge. The timeline is of critical importance, but it seems pretty clear that with regard to the third of the 3 airplanes, and I went over this with Ellie yesterday, it hadn't yet taken off. So either there was really poor communication on the part of the DOJ and the administration, or they just completely disregarded what the judge had asked them to do. But the political dynamic is what I was getting to yesterday. Because if you remember the conversation that I had with Doug Sosnick, which was 2 days ago, we went over a number of different issues where on all of them, perception of Trump in his first 50 plus days, he's underwater. More people viewing him disfavorably than favorably, with one exception, and that's immigration. The perception being that the borders were porous on Biden's watch and for a long time preceding President Biden, and that Trump is trying to do something about it, and a slight majority of Americans are willing to give him the leeway to do so. And now you throw into the mix the images of these heavily tatted, densely incarcerated in El Salvador, Tres de Agua, gang members, and what Democrats are put in the awkward position of having to carry the torch for the violation of their civil liberties. Politically speaking, it's a losing issue for D's, and yet I'm not minimizing the importance of it, because I respect the rule of law, and I think these individuals in all likelihood should have been removed. But Trump should have waited for court permission to do so. The Wall Street Journal had an editorial on this subject yesterday, with which I agree. And it began this way: Americans won't miss the Venezuelan and MS-13 gang members dispatched by the Trump administration to El Salvador on the weekend. Most of them are criminals who were in the U.S. illegally, but it's still troubling to see U.S. officials appear to disdain the law in the name of upholding it. I agree with that. And then it goes back to some of the history of this, the deportation of nearly 300 alleged members of Venezuela's Tren de Agua gang, as well as several from MS-13, the ruthless Salvadoran gang. They were apparently deported without a hearing in immigration court, much less a criminal conviction. Yesterday, a number of callers asked, like, what do we really know about these individuals? Such is the level of skepticism about anything that comes out of the White House. The Journal. The administration didn't release their names or their offenses. They were flown to El Salvador, where strongman Nayib Bukele had them sent immediately to his notorious gang prison. Have you seen that on television? They have a capacity of 40,000, and they're packed in there like sardines. 30 minutes, I think, they get outside the cell every day. News reports say they have no access to phones or the ability to contact families. The administration invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. I went through this with Ellie yesterday. It doesn't seem to apply. There's been no declaration of war against any country, much less, some representative organization of those 300 gang members. And then this is the line that I circled that I agree with. Trump may be right about the law, but he didn't wait to find out. He reportedly invoked the law on Friday, and the flights to Salvador took off Saturday. Federal Judge James Boasberg issued an order temporarily blocking the deportations to consider their legality under the Alien Enemies Act, but the administration said the aircraft were already in the air. So that's that issue, and today, yet more information has been requested by the judge of the DOJ, and we'll see what they say. A big point that Ellie made yesterday is that in court, the position, regardless of what you hear from Stephen Miller or from Tom Homan, who said the borders are, I don't care what the judges say, the posture that the administration is taking in court is one of addressing the legal merit of this, as compared to saying we're just going to openly defy whatever the court says. Big difference, because one leads to a constitutional crisis, the other does not. So that's yesterday. 2/3 of us said Trump benefits politically from that brouhaha. Today's poll question, we're so fortunate to have Admiral James Stavridis as an every week guest on the program, former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, good guy, brilliant, plugged in. And on a day like yesterday, to be able to talk to Admiral Stavridis about what will take place, because my conversation with the Admiral preceded the Trump-Putin conversation, and to be able to talk to Admiral Stavridis about, what are the dynamics, what are the arguments, how does this play out, what does it look like, and what's at stake. I was just reminded of how fortunate we are to have him here, usually on a Tuesday in the second hour of the program. So I asked of Admiral Stavridis yesterday, what are the key issues? And he said to me, the issues relative to resolving the Russian-initiated war with Ukraine, can we provide security guarantees for Ukraine in return for Ukraine giving up 20% of what had been their territory? Can we, I think his words were, can we get to peace by giving up land in a deal like this? He said that there would need to be some level of peacekeepers, not NATO, not the U.S., but a European force. He also said that U.S. assistance for Ukraine would need to continue. And of course, the border issue would have to be negotiated, and those borders would have to be secure with a commitment by Russia not to invade again. There are other issues: control of a nuclear power plant, the return of thousands of kids, literally, who've been taken by Russia in the context of this war. But at the top of the list is, what will the borders look like? And how do we justify the reward, my word, not the Admiral's, but the reward that Russia will get in holding 20% of what had been Ukraine territory? So I asked Admiral Stavridis about that. And he said, if you were listening, he said, I hate it. I said to him, is it a given that Russia gets to keep 20% of what was Ukraine? Admiral Stavridis said, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And the Ukrainians hate it, but then he called it a military reality, a military judgment. The military reality on the ground is such that taking 20% back from Putin, who has now held it for 3 years plus. He's dug in, he's fortified, he's on the front foot. If it's not mission impossible, it's mission almost impossible. And today's poll question at Smerconish.com asks, do you agree with Admiral Stavridis when he says that he hates Russia keeping the land it seized from Ukraine, but such is the military reality of a negotiated peace? That is the poll question at Smerconish.com. I agree with him. I think it is the worst possible outcome, except for all the alternatives. And that Trump has cast his lot already in saying that he doesn't expect Russia to have to give back any of that. Frankly, it was Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth who, within his first few days in meetings with NATO allies, made that observation. Tipped their hand that this was not going to be a condition of peace, that Putin would be expected to hand everything back. So I don't like it either, but I think it's probably where we are right now. Does it reward Putin? It does. But what's the alternative? I mean, the alternative is to take up several notches in a way that Americans don't have the stomach, our commitment to Ukraine and our involvement long-term in this war. And I think we've reached a point with Republicans taking control of the White House, the House, and the Senate where it's just not going to continue. I guess what I'm really trying to say is I think it could get a hell of a lot worse if this weren't brought to a close now, because the Trump administration is not going to continue to write the check that Biden was prepared to do. So with a hat tip to our friend Admiral Stavridis, go answer today's poll question at Smerconish.com. Agree, disagree with the Admiral, who said yesterday that while he hates Russia keeping the land it seized from Ukraine, such is the military reality of a negotiated peace. Like and subscribe, please, on my YouTube channel, and set yourself up for notifications so that whenever I might pop up, you can be here. I appreciate all of you for watching, especially those who are here most regularly. Have a great day. See ya.